Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez once said, "My choice isn't what I breathe in, it's what I exhale. And right now, in this moment, I feel the need for all of us to breathe fire." And breathe fire is exactly what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did when she delivered her amazing impromptu speech on climate change in action. Now, throughout this speech, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez proves not only that the concern for the environment is not an elitist issue, but one that everyone needs to care about.
Put it up.
It's not working.
Time's ticking.
I know, I should get this back. Okay, this is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is the youngest woman ever to be elected to Congress. It happened last year when she was just 29 years old. She is the U.S. representative for New York's 14th district, which includes the eastern part of the Bronx, parts of north central Queens, and Rikers Island. She is usually referred to as AOC because those are her initials, so that's what I'm going to be referring to her as throughout the rest of this speech. On March 26, 2019, on the Senate floor, AOC delivered the speech that I'm going to show you. For some background, she was talking about climate change and the Green New Deal, which she would like to have passed in order to address climate change and economic inequality. While this was happening, Congressman Sean Duffy said something to the effect that climate change is only an issue for the elite because they're the only ones who have enough money to care about it. This did not sit right with AOC, so she now delivered the speech that you're going to see.
You might have to. Yeah, it's on.
Can I get like a minute back? Because it was already like cutting it close.
Yeah.
It
It says it's connected.
Yeah. So, here.
I was waitressing in a taco shop
You
in
start over
downtown
too.
Manhattan. I just got health insurance for the first. But aside from that, when we talk about the concern of the environment as an elitist concern, 1 year ago, I was waitressing in a taco shop in downtown Manhattan. I just got health insurance for the first time a month ago. This is not an elitist issue. This is a quality of life issue. You want to tell people that their concern and their desire for clean air and clean water is elitist? Tell that to the kids in the South Bronx, which are suffering from the highest rates of childhood asthma in the country. Tell that to the families in Flint, whose kids have their blood is ascending in lead levels. Their brains are damaged for the rest of their lives. Call them elitist. You're telling them that those kids are trying to get on a plane to Davos? People are dying. They are dying. And the response across the other side of the aisle is to introduce an amendment 5 minutes before a hearing and a markup. This is serious. This should not be a partisan issue. This is about our constituents and all of our lives. Iowa, Nebraska, broad swaths of the Midwest are drowning right now, underwater. Farms, towns that will never be recovered and never come back. And we're here and people are more concerned about helping oil companies than helping their own families? I don't think so. I don't think so. This is about our lives. This is about American lives. And it should not be partisan. Science should not be partisan. We are facing a national crisis.
Okay. This speech will endure because it's an extremely passionate speech given on a very serious and real issue that everyone is facing today, whether we're majorly affected by it or not. It reminds people that climate change is everyone's problem, no matter how much money you make. And like AOC says, climate change is not an elitist issue. And this speech is very significant because it's only 1 year old. Climate change is a very prevalent issue today, and it affects so many people all across the world. AOC gave a very convincing argument that everyone should care about climate change because eventually it's going to affect everyone. In fact, in 2019, it was the second warmest year ever recorded globally, with the first warmest year just being back in 2015. Now, to get her point across, she uses some rhetorical devices. So the first one is amplification, and the quote goes, "People are dying, they're dying," and the response across the other side of the aisle is to introduce an amendment 5 minutes before a hearing in a markup. Here, she repeats the beginning part of her phrase, where she says, "People are dying," and then she says, "They're dying," and she continues on for emphasis. The second one is an anaphora. Now she says, "You want to tell people that their concern and their desire for clean air and clean water is elitist? Tell that to the kids in the South Bronx, which are suffering from the highest rates of childhood asthma in the country. Tell that to the families in Flint whose kids have their blood ascending in lead levels, their brains are damaged for the rest of their lives. Call them elitist." Now, the anaphora here she uses is when she uses the phrase "tell that to" multiple times, where she says, "Tell that to the kids in the South Bronx," and "Tell that to the families in Flint." Now, the last one she uses that I'm going to talk about is a hypophora, and the quote goes, "People are more concerned about helping oil companies than helping their own families? I don't think so. I don't think so." Here, she asks a question, then promptly answers it to get her point across. Now, she also uses ethos, pathos, and logos in her speech. In fact, her speech starts out right away with an ethos. She's establishing her credibility when she says something like, "1 year ago, I was working in a taco shop in downtown Manhattan." Or when she says, "I just got health insurance for the first time a month ago." This is to establish her credibility as someone who understands the average working class person and to show that she's not just another rich congressperson. Next is logos. She gives a couple statistics in this speech where she talks about how kids in the South Bronx have the highest rates of childhood asthma in the country. And she also uses this later in her speech that you guys don't see when she talks about how it's going to be more expensive to fix the damages regarding climate change than it will be to pass a new deal to try and prevent them. And the last one is pathos. She uses this many times throughout her entire speech when she talks about the kids in the South Bronx or the kids in Flint. And she also uses this when she says phrases like, "People are dying, they're dying," or "This is about our lives, this is about American lives." These things resonate with people and get their emotion to come out. Now, if there's two main takeaways from this speech, I'm sure AOC would agree with me that I want you to take away that climate change is not an elitist issue, and tying in with that everyone should care about it. Thank you.